discs and some CDs. We got two little dogs licking their balls on the screen. And now it's time for the show.
Hey guys, so what graces the bed table today on this episode? A little bit different today. So what we're looking at here is a Sun Microsystem Ultra 10 Workstation PC. This is from the late 90s, 98, 99, maybe 2000, around that era. Contemporary with maybe, you know, the Pentium 3, that kind of time frame. Now, I know nothing about these things. As you know from this channel, I generally focus on sort of the gaming side of PC. I mean, I love building PCs just to build them, but I usually love to build them for games. I just love DOS gaming and PC gaming, and workstations aren't really known for that sort of thing. They're not really gaming platforms at all, especially when they're not x86 based, and this is not x86 based. This uses its weird own sort of processor. From what I've read, it's sort of like a PowerPC done right. But full disclosure again, I know nothing about these systems. This was actually given to me, so I figured I had this around. It's kind of neat, may as well do a video on it. Westlife did a video on this thing maybe like 5 years ago, so there is that and other stuff out there, but you know, we'll see if I can add anything to the conversation. It might even be interesting just to see me bumble around this thing, because I know nothing about it except what I've recently did a little research about. I don't even know if this particular machine boots up. I have no idea. I haven't plugged it in. I haven't fired it up. It may burst into flames. That would be kind of interesting. But so join me on this journey as I look at this sort of workstation here. Now, actually, despite the yellowing, I actually really like this case. It's a little thinner. I think, at least it seems thinner than an average sort of beige PC case from the time. It's almost got that Dell Dimension sort of thinness going on there. We have a CD-ROM drive here. This is pretty obviously not stock. This was added at some point. Now there are only two bays on here, which makes sense. It wasn't a gaming machine, so you weren't expected to have, you know, a bunch of different drives and whatnot. So right here under, or above rather, the floppy drive, we have this little compartment that opens up, and there's space for another, looks like another 3.5-inch drive. Now at first I suspected this was for a tape drive or something like that, but after looking at a service manual for this, it does mention a front interface for a PCM-CIA sort of interface slot. So those are those cards you usually find on laptops, but I guess you can get sort of an interface for those that you can put in stuff like this as a tower, and I think maybe that's what's kind of meant to go in there, one of those PCM CIA interface things, and then you could just insert those, I think. Floppy drive, which I believe is just standard 1.44 megabytes, but again, I am completely ignorant of these machines, so I'm not sure. And here's our power button. Don't see any reset or anything. Now these did come in a desktop form factor too. This is the tower. I think the tower had, you know, more, there were faster versions with the tower. I have no idea what speed the processor is in this, by the way. I've never even opened it up, so this may be a short video here, seeing as I don't know too much about it, and as far as I know, there aren't any games for this platform, for the Sun systems. I was told by an individual that worked on these, he could swear he remembers there was like a version. There were a couple games that were actually put out for this, but they were just ports. He says he remembers there was a port of SimCity for the operating system. This doesn't run on like Mac OS or Windows. I don't even know if you can make it run on those systems. I'm pretty sure you can't, but it has its own sort of operating system. I believe it's called Solaris. And yeah, there was, from what I've been told, a few versions of games that were ported to that OS, but I can't find any concrete evidence of that. I can't find listings on eBay or anything, so I don't know if that's accurate or not. Uh-oh. I think he sees his face. And no, he decided to go fight with the other dog. Anyways, he decided to just randomly go over and pester the other dog who's hiding under the covers over there. Ren, as some of you have affectionately called him for his similarity to Ren from Ren and Stimpy. I don't know if he looks like Ren, but he certainly has the same nasty attitude. Anyways, this isn't about the dogs. This is about this machine. So, pretty standard power supply, at least from the outside. Now, coming down here, let me see, I'll zoom in here a little bit, maybe a lot. We have, looks like, built-in audio right here. Yeah, built-in audio. And then that is the, right down a little bit more, this is the jack for the keyboard mouse. Now, it uses keyboard mouse kind of like how Apple does with the ADB, Apple Desktop Bus, yes, ADB ports. But it is, and it also kind of looks like PS2. It is not, it's its own sort of proprietary thing. And luckily I do have the mouse and keyboard, which I'll show you in a second. And then we go down a little bit more. And I believe this machine's pretty standard. I don't see any expansion cards like for video. A lot of the video cards for this machine use the special, don't recall what it's called off the top of my head, it's like W3W or something like that. It's really weird looking connector, and I don't see that here, so I don't think there's an extra video card, unfortunately, in this machine. Seems pretty stock. Serial and parallel ports here. There is a standard VGA jack. I believe this has a Rage chipset built into it. The note on this, the Sun 10, these systems were, when they put this one out, they went a little bit more mainstream, as in they stopped using as many proprietary parts. So there's a lot of standard PC stuff in here, whereas earlier Sun systems were way more proprietary. So this one does use just regular VGA with, I believe, what is a Rage chipset in there. Ethernet, and then this seems like this was an expansion here with some added Ethernet ports. So let's look at the keyboard and mouse real quick. So here is the keyboard and mouse. Sun, this isn't standard. Like I said, it uses this connection here, which is not PS2, and it's not ADB. It's its own special sort of proprietary thing. And here's the mouse, and it has the same connector, and it's very Apple-esque in the fact the mouse plugs into the keyboard, and there you go. So, yeah, this actually, it's not, these aren't very yellow. This keyboard's actually looks really nice. It's really nice shape. Okay, so I'm going to open it up, take a peek inside. I don't think it's going to be too interesting in there. And then we will hook it up, and I will fire it up, and we'll see if it even posts or boots up or whatever Sun workstations do. Although I don't think I'll get too far. From looking at other videos and whatnot, there's probably going to be some kind of password wall I'm going to hit and then not be able to really get any further. Since I have no experience or knowledge on these, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get around that. But we'll see. Maybe something interesting will happen. So just another neat little thing I have this Sun Microsystems mouse pad. Just thought I'd show that off. It's kind of neat. And I also have, looks like burned CDs for Solaris 10. Wow, 5 CDs for the OS. Again, I know nothing about this operating system or anything. I don't know if I'll even bother to try to install it over what's on there now, just because I really wouldn't know what to do with it anyways. Okay, so remember how I said I've never opened this thing before? So really weird. I figured it was like a standard case where you had each side, and I could just take this side off. So I unscrewed, the 2 screws, and I went to take this off, and the whole thing's moving. And I'm looking at this, and I think this, I think this whole thing comes off, like all of it. But it's weird because, like older AT cases and stuff, it would do that. It wasn't the sides, like the whole top would kind of come off, but it was the opposite. Like the bottom would stay on, and like this part and the top here, I'm not zoomed out enough probably, like the top here would come off, but this is the opposite. Like the bottom comes off too. Seems very awkward to me, but okay, I'm gonna open it up. See? Okay, yeah, that's weird. See, here's the part that comes off. It's the bottom. It's usually the opposite. Like it would be like this, and it would, but it's Okay, well, I guess it works, whatever. So, just looking at it, it's very clean inside. Like, I don't see dust at all. So either this really was never used much, or someone cleaned it at some point. Caps look good from a glance. Although I've said that before, and I've had, when I put the videos up, people would always be like, you know that cap at blah blah blah, and the motherboard's bulging. It's like, no, I didn't notice that. I do always look at the caps, but sometimes I just miss stuff. But they do look pretty good. Alright, well, let's take a closer look. Okay, so here we are with the top off it, and it is so clean and dust-free. I wasn't really expecting that. So here's the processor. It looks like it's maybe on some kind of module, and then it connects in. Now, the desktop model of this was the Sun, the Ultra 5, I believe. I forget what its max processor is, but this one, I don't know what one this specifically is, but the max that these came with was 440 megahertz. It was a Ultra Spark 3, I believe, was the CPU. Now, 440 megahertz might not seem all that much for the late 90s, very late 90s, but remember, it was sort of, think of it kind of like Power PC, so even though the megahertz numbers were lower than, say, the competing Intel chips, it's actually faster in comparison, clock for clock. RAM back here, now I see, man, these are big, hefty sticks, but it's only 200, at least according to the sticker, this is 256. There's 4 of them, so I think this is the full 1 gigabyte of RAM, I'm guessing, is installed here, which is double what the Ultra 5, which had a limit of 512 megabytes, but I believe these are all 256 megabyte sticks, probably ECC, EDO maybe, RAM. Not 100% sure on that. Here we've got 4 just standard PCI slots. Like I said earlier, from what I read, they started going a little bit more non-proprietary with this machine. There is the Rage. It's a Rage Pro Turbo PCI. So not AGP, but Rage Pro Turbo PCI for video. Bunch of other various chips. There's like no or very little dust in this thing. I'm sorry, even on the fan, so this thing must not have been used very much, which is interesting. So if we look on this side, also we see this port right there. Kind of looks sort of like an AGP, like a universal AGP or a AGP Pro slot, but it's not. This is I believe it's proprietary to Sun Workstation, Sun Systems, and these are known as UPA slots, or Ultra Port Architecture, I believe, is what that stands for, UPA. So these are for, there's only a few cards that work on these. I believe they're 100 megahertz is the bus. I'm trying to think, the Creator card, there's a different kind of Creator 3D card. There's a couple different Ultra 3D card. Anyways, so there were some cards made for these. So they were for more, higher bandwidth, higher resolution cards. And if you see, it lines up with right here, and that would be this. I don't have any of those cards, so I can't install one, but to just show it. But yeah, they were for more, higher res kind of work on these, and it does provide a faster bus and connection than your standard PCI. So that's what that is there. So another thing about these ports, if you look at the power connector here, kind of like a Pentium 4 motherboard, the socket 423, where you have this auxiliary connector here. Now, from what I've read, if you're not using a card here, you don't actually need to have this auxiliary connector plugged in. I'm going to test that later on in the video, but that's just what I read, that you don't actually, this is a standard ATX connector, but you don't actually, if you don't have, say, the right power supply, or something without the aux, I don't think you need this if you're not using one of these UPA cards, but I will test that. As for the hard drives here, the speed, now I believe this here is the Ide Controller. Not 100% sure on that, but I think the speed on this for these are, I believe it's ATA33. Again, I'm not 100% on that, but I believe it's ATA33 as far as the speed of the IDE goes. I was going to take out this bar and riser just to get a better view of the motherboard as a whole, but it seems it's screwed in over here. I'd have to take the front off too. It seemed like a little bit more of a hassle than it was worth, so this is a Seagate Barracuda 4 hard drive. What did it say? 20 gigabytes. I'm not sure what this one is up here. It's a connector here. Do not know what that's for. Maybe some sort of memory expansion or some sort of expansion of some sort. Yeah, nothing other than that, nothing too interesting. There's the built-in sound. Looks like a crystal chipset. I'm not gonna bother reading off the numbers of that. Here, I believe, is the battery. Now, as you can see, it looks like one of those annoying batteries. So I feel this is going to be kind of like those Dallas real-time clock batteries where it's encased and it's, I don't even know if it's soldered on the board or socketed or whatever, but it looks like one of those pain-in-the-ass type batteries. Now, I don't know if the battery's dead, how it affects the system, if it's like a Dallas or an Odin real-time clock, if it's going to prevent the system from posting or booting, or if it will just give me like an error and it won't save the settings, which usually isn't that much of a hassle. So, again, know nothing about these machines, really, except from what I briefly researched. But I'm fairly positive that is like the CMOS battery. But it's not called the CMOS battery, it's called something else. It's like NVRAM or something. Probably more like it is on the Apple machines with the little barrels, what are they called, NVRAMs or something. And just to prove it, yeah, these are indeed socketed batteries, which is nice. And this also has, it does have an internal speaker, like an actual internal speaker. In case anyone's wondering, I just noticed that. Anyways, I'm going to put this thing back together, and then we're going to fire it up. So here's the network card, in case you're wondering, and it isn't, apparently it's not just like a generic network card. It is, these are Sun chips here, and I think that's for PCI X or 64-bit PCI, but it will work in a standard PCI, but I believe that's what that is. Alright, so here it is, all hooked up, and I did power this up very quickly, but not enough to get to anything to happen on the screen there, but I hit the switch on the back to turn on the power supply, and it just like turned on. I thought, you know, I didn't even have to hit the power button, it just sort of turned on, like that. So, it's on. And the keyboard flashed, so it's doing something, but nothing on the monitor yet. I don't think, I mean, that's a regular VGA. Okay, we've got something. I should probably turn those lights off so you don't have that. It's bad enough taking images of a CRT, let alone the glare from the lights. I'm not really sure what I'm looking, okay. I see the 440 megahertz. So I believe this has the fastest of the UltraSpark 3 CPUs, the 440 megahertz. Power on self, okay, that's expected. I've seen that. The RAM, the NVRAM is failed. 1 gig of, oh, right there, 1 gig of memory. Guess I just wait now for something to happen, I think. Okay, so I went back and referenced V Westlife's video, and apparently at this point you can press, you can type in boot disk after OK, and then that should continue and load up the operating system, but it will likely hit a password section. I won't be able to go any further, but let me hit enter here. Yeah, and here's that little password screen. Enter your username. I'll try. It's hard doing this and holding the camera on it. What about guest? Please enter your password. Enter. Nope. So, yeah, I don't know. Obviously I don't have the password. I don't know how to circumvent the password in in Solaris operating system. So, looks like it's about as far as I'm going to get in this video. It's about the same. It's about as far as V Westlife got in his video as well. These are workstations. It makes sense. They are all password protected. And honestly, I don't even know what I would do even once I was in the OS. I have no experience with this OS. Obviously, it's not a gaming sort of OS. So I guess I'd just poke around in it. Probably wouldn't be that fun to watch anyways. I guess we can take a better look at this mouse and keyboard here. It's just a standard ball mouse. Nothing special here. The keyboard is pretty standard, although it has what looks to be a power button, kind of like on a lot of Macs that have power buttons on the keyboard. And it has this little array of stop, again, props, undo, copy, font, open, paste, cut, and find. And from watching V Westlife's video again, when you get to that password, you can hit stop and A, and you get that little prompt. And oh, if it will focus. I've also already put in the command to power off. Power hyphen off. Let me see if it works. Power, and then there's a question mark. Must have did it wrong. I did do it wrong. There wasn't supposed to be a space between power and /off. So I tried it again without the space and it just turned right off. Now let me see if this button will turn it on. Yes, it does. And the beep coming from the keyboard, again, as we've seen in V Westlife's video. That's really it. I should probably troll through his comments, because I could probably find the answer to getting past the password or replacing that RAM in his comment section, but to be honest, I don't know if I really want to put much effort into this thing. Like I said, it's not really my thing. I thought it would be a cool short video, but I don't... even if I had this thing up and running, other than spending a couple minutes poking around the OS, there's really nothing I'm going to do with it. So it's probably really just wasted effort. So I'll probably just leave it at that. So I did try a couple things to get past the password. Someone suggested, again, reading comments from other YouTube channels, set defaults. That would at least get rid of that battery error if the battery isn't actually dead. I don't think I'm misspelling it, but I just get question marks for that. I also tried /S to get into single user mode to maybe change the password, and it just got locked into this loop where it kept trying to link status. It would look like it was looking for the internet, or it was trying to link to something, and it would fail, and it would just keep retrying and retrying and retrying, and it was just like an infinite loop. So, yeah. Okay, so just to do another little test. Oh, these are so in the way, but yeah, see, it's connected, but I don't have that little auxiliary power connector. I don't know if you can see, you'll have to take my word for it. And it does power up. So I believe if you're not using this card, for some reason I keep forgetting the abbreviation. It's, the Ultra Architecture whatever port card. It appears you don't necessarily need to have that aux connector plugged in. Also, I don't think, because it is has I believe the Ethernet address, there's a number there. I believe that means my battery here, oops, this guy right here, the NVRAM battery, I believe it's still good. So, I'll see you in the next video, and thank you for watching. If you like this kind of weird, non-sort of standard stuff, let me know. I've got an SGI machine I'll probably do a video on too, just for shits and giggles, even though, there's already a few videos on that machine up. Might be fun just to poke around, so just let me know in the comments section, and thank you again for watching. Yeah, hey. Yeah, it's me. Yeah, I just watched it. It's pretty good. Yeah, you really hit that sort of cheesy 80s, 90s sitcom thing I was kind of going for. Yeah, and it works out great because I just hit 1,500 subscribers, so, it's like a little treat now that I get a title or an intro or a theme video, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, every channel needs a theme video. Um, yeah, I mean, there's just a few little things, maybe little tweaks we could make. The first one is you said we have 20-minute videos. Actually, 20 minutes is like really on the super short side for my videos. You might want to make it more like 40-minute videos because my videos do tend to drag on. So I don't want to mislead anyone into thinking that we have short 20-minute videos. But yeah. The next thing is when you're going, we have laser discs and CEDs. I don't really. I don't really review CDs per se. I mean, we look at games that come on CDs, but I don't really review CDs. So I was thinking maybe we could replace CDs with TVs, because I do look at like TVs and monitors kind of often. So I think it would work like perfect. Computers and laser discs and TEVs. See, it works good, better, makes more sense. Yeah, not much else. Yeah, well, the dog. Yeah, I like the dog thing was funny. Although I edit that out in most of my videos, so no one sees that. Which I don't. Yeah, that's them right now. Yeah, maybe they don't approve of it either. Yeah, no, it's funny. It's just people these days. Who knows? You say balls. Who knows who it's gonna offend? That's the times we live in, right? Yeah. Yeah, no. Well, the last thing, little thing. At the end, we finish with it's time for the show. Why does the TV turn off if it's time for the show? I just think that's weird. I mean, if it's time for the show, shouldn't we have a TV like turning on? We like turn it on in static rather than static, and then it turns off. It's kind of weird, So yeah, just little touches, little tweaks we can make to the theme song. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's true. That would take some effort. Yeah. I guess you got a point. Yeah, screw it. No one's gonna care anyways. We'll just go with what we have. Yeah. Cool. Thanks again. Bye.